Hey guys, so you've done it. You've done the work. You found the diet that worked for you. You stuck with it. You resisted the free donuts that were at work on Friday that time. You know that time. You ignored them. You got through it. You reached your goal weight. You finally did it. You finally got to the point where that number that you've been wanting on the scale for so long is there. Now what? Now what do you do? So in our culture, so I'm speaking from the United States, okay? I'm American. In our culture, we love the pursuit, right? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is written into the Declaration of Independence. It's part of who we are. We love going after a goal, pursuing a goal. We feel like we're actually doing something. Like we feel like we're part of society when we're going after something, including a weight loss goal. And so I think there's a lot of benefit in a great experience of going through that experience and hitting your goal and finally making it to the thing that you wanted. But I have found life doesn't end there. You don't hit your goal weight and then you're suddenly just happy and it's all rainbows and sunshine after that. In a lot of ways, my experience has shown hitting that goal weight, getting that number finally where you wanted it to be is only the start of a longer journey that is in some ways harder. So I'm going to take you back to about 2009 timeframe. I mentioned it at the beginning of this month. I had a weight loss goal, okay? I had a weight loss goal and a running goal at the same time. So I wanted to lose weight and I wanted to run my first 5K. I managed to do both of those things. I ran the 5K that I wanted and I ran the full 3 miles in about 30 minutes. So I actually ran a pretty decent pace as a, beginner runner. And I hit my weight loss goal. I lost the 15 or whatever pounds that I wanted to lose. That is when things got really hard because before that, I just had to follow the diet that I had set out for myself. I just followed the diet. I followed the meal plan. And then when I reached my goal weight, I didn't know what to do. And I'm here to tell you guys, I, in some ways, went too far the other way. Like I kept on the diet because I didn't trust myself. I didn't know how to eat healthy. I didn't know how to navigate the American food culture without having this diet to guide me. So I ended up losing even more weight than I anticipated and kind of going even lower than I wanted to go because I couldn't find that point of balance. So I went way far one way. And then eventually I kind of swung way far the other way. And this is why you hear things like diets don't work and things like that. Because why? Because the diet is a temporary measure. It will get you there. Especially calorie restriction diets and things like that, they will get you to your goal, which is what you want. But then what? And so this is where I have found things get way less sexy. They're way less cool because it becomes a lifestyle. It becomes a practice. It becomes just part of your day to day. And in some respects, it becomes way more, I'll say, introverted. It's much less of activity and doing. It's much more of paying attention to the foods that actually feed and nourish your body and make your body feel good as opposed to making your body feel bad. Paying attention to the foods that, hey, if you eat too many of them, you end up gaining weight. Paying attention to the seasons. It took me, I am not even going to kid you guys. I'm not super proud of this, but I'm going to share it with you because I want to be honest. I want to show you the real life of a person. It took me probably 2 months to lose the weight. It took me years to get used to being a lighter weight and navigating that. I remember talking to therapists about this. I had a therapist at the time, and I felt like on the one hand, I felt like I had to log everything I ate because that's what I did during my diet. But on the other hand, I was like, I don't want to do that though. I don't need to lose weight anymore. Why am I logging everything that I eat? And she told me her advice was, hey, some people are on Weight Watchers for life. And I was like, well, I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if I want to be a person who logs her food for life. I talked to my Zen sensei at the time. I was sitting, I was a member of a Soto Zen Buddhist group at the time, and there's a thing called Dokusan where you go in and talk to the teacher. And I talked to my teacher about this. And I was like, I don't know how to be mindful. I don't know how to trust myself. And that was his advice back to me was, you have to continue to learn to trust yourself. You have to continue to practice. You have to learn how to live your life in this new way. And it took me a long time to figure out that balance point for me, to figure out How am I going to live now, having lost the weight, having understood the way that food affects me and my body, and by the way, learning to love my body for what it was instead of always being obsessed with a number. So after many years of like practicing with this and working with this, eventually I've gotten to the point where now I don't even keep a scale. Now I can kind of feel my size and my body based on how my clothes are fitting me, based on how my pants are fitting me, and things like that. And frankly, I have kind of a seasonal way that I eat nowadays. So it went from being this like, yeah, striving, going for that goal, this, all the stuff that we've been talking about all month, and it is all great stuff, and that's why I've been telling you guys that. But here's like the punchline at the end is, after that, after you hit that mark, it becomes a practice. It becomes just a lifestyle. You have to start learning what foods work for you, what exercises work for you. So for example, similarly, I mentioned that I had trained for that first 5K. Yeah, I ran that 5K. I eventually ran an 8K. I eventually ran a 10K. And then after that, I was like, well, I actually moved to a new area that was a lot more hilly. I'm just going to be honest. And it was harder to run. And I realized like, okay, I don't know if running is what is for me. So then it's like, okay, if I'm not training for a race, why do I exercise? I realized that I exercise because it makes me feel good. It makes me a happier person. And again, so it went from being the cool, the sexy, like going for a goal, I'm training for a race, to just part of my lifestyle. And that is the thing, guys. That is the thing, is you have it's less cool. It's less visual. You don't see me, you don't see me really posting, if you're on my social media or anything like that, you won't see me posting things like, oh, I'm on my 15 day of my 30-day workout challenge. Why? Because working out is just part of my lifestyle now. You're not going to see me say like, I'm halfway through my whole 30. Why? Because eating healthy is just part of my lifestyle now. That's what happens. Once you hit that goal, it turns from being something you're striving for to something you just simply live with. Something that you learn to have as just part of your life. And that is less cool. There's not an easy answer for it. And it's much more sort of inside. It's much more personal. It becomes less of a public facing thing. And it is harder. And so this week on brightstarcoachonline.com, I am talking about that experience of, okay, I hit my goal. Now what do I do? How do I sustain that positivity? How do I live my life now having hit my goal? I'm calling it Sustain the Gains Week because you learn a lot in the pursuit of the goal. Pursuing and getting to that weight loss goal is a big deal. Like, I don't want to minimize it, but that's not the beginning. That's not the end of the story. It's only the beginning. It's the beginning of a whole new chapter for you. And that chapter is going to be much more of a practice. That chapter is going to be much more of a just day to day. How are you going to walk through life? How are you going to go through the store, right? And the way that I have found to do that is you really have to pay attention to what works for you. You have to come within, and you have to really be mindful. It becomes a mindfulness practice of, hey, this food doesn't work for me. Like, it causes my stomach to hurt, or if I eat too much of this, I do gain weight. And that's the other thing. You have to trust yourself. You have to start trusting yourself that if you do gain a little bit of weight back, that you can get back there, and I think for me personally, that was the hardest part, learning to trust that I knew how to make healthy choices, that one cupcake wouldn't ruin me, right? Because that's our mentality. That's what you start to think. You start to think that, okay, I lost the weight, now I can never have a cupcake again, right? Like, I went that way. Or you go the other way and say, well, I never want to do a diet again. But there is a middle ground. And I'll be the first to tell you, moderation is very hard for me. So the way that I have done moderation has been basically cyclical. And so, as I'm saying, it becomes a lifestyle. There are times when I, like at the end of the year, it's the holidays, I enjoy myself. Then here we are back in January, I try to clean up my diet a bit because I now know what is clean for me. I now know what is unhealthy for me. I now know the difference between these things, and I can trust myself. So if you've ever hit a goal like this, a weight loss goal is a big one, or hit an event, that is what it becomes. It becomes a lifestyle after that. It becomes a paying attention and a mindfulness practice of how to go on after having reached that great thing. There's also one more last thing I want to note on this video is a lot of times right after you hit that big goal, like right after you get married, or maybe you finish your trifecta or your triathlon or your marathon, whatever, there's this like weird emptiness feeling afterwards. That is normal. That happens to everybody. And what it is it's a function of you've been striving for so long, you hit that goal, and suddenly you don't have anything else to strive for. And suddenly you realize that the striving was getting you to a place that is, it was an experience and a moment, but it was just momentary. And that's what you realize, is that while that moment is great, and while it's great to get that medal, or great to hit that goal, great to have that weight, or, get to that goal weight that you wanted, it's just a momentary thing. You need to find that peace and that trust within you and that happiness within you to go about your day, to go about your life in a way that is more content. So that's all I got for you guys today. Talk to you later. Bye.